another edition of the award-winning podcast, The Square and the Round with Chris Kelly. I'm the Square. There's BB Shea. He's the Round.
Yes, sir.
A perfectly round head. You just said something, too. You just said, what's the hype about these Stanley thermos bottles? I don't get it either.
Every so often, every few months, there's something that comes about that people just lose their mind over. And this has been going on for a few months now. The craze over these Stanley Cups.
Yep.
Young ladies are
Yep.
walking around with them. I don't understand it.
They love them. It used to be, those cups used to be for like construction workers.
Yeah.
And then they decided to do a pink color or some to market toward women, and they love them.
Love them.
I go to the gym. Every woman there's got one because the bottom fits into the cup holder on the treadmill.
Is that what it is?
And the top, yeah, but there are many water bottles that
True.
don't do that, or just I don't know. I don't get it either. I have no idea.
It's like Carhartt becoming
Yep.
popular now.
Yep.
Like it's a fashion statement to wear Carhartt.
Yeah.
I've been wearing Carhartt my whole life.
Have you?
Yeah. I used to have a Carhartt jacket when I was in the 7th grade. That was just the stuff for country kids.
Yeah, that's what you
kids who
got.
grew up at country.
Yeah.
That was the style.
You know, the thing about those, and it's interesting how things happen too. When Yeti came out, I didn't get the hype over that either.
True, yeah.
But now I'll tell you this: a Yeti does keep things really cold for a long time.
I love a Yeti.
I do like it. Now I have a Yeti cooler. It's heavy as lead. If I
Yeah.
take it out on the beach, it is. That's why
Yeah.
they're so well insulated, and they were to me way too expensive. But we do have a few Yeti things. And I thought, well, there's no point in getting to this game now because Yeti has it cornered. And then Stanley comes along and now everybody wants a Stanley.
Exactly.
Isn't
It
that
was
crazy?
Tervis for a second. I
Yep.
don't remember if you remember the Tervis ones.
I remember that.
And then Yeti, and then there was the offshoot Yeti, the Arctic, I think it was
I
called.
remember that,
And
yep.
now it's the Stanley. Now it's the Stanley thing.
Yeah, that cup, that one in particular.
People are dying over this cup.
They're
getting assault charges over this cup.
I know, attacking things at Walmart or Target or whatever. They're going crazy over those. Now, what are your thoughts on the NFL playoffs? You got them exactly right, didn't you? All four of these last week's games.
I think I did.
You
yeah.
had the Chiefs.
I had the
beating-
Chiefs winning.
You had the
Ravens.
You had the Ravens.
I had the 49ers, and I had the Lions. I was really hoping the Packers would win that game.
They should have won.
I
that game.
wanted them to win that game
They should have
so
won that
bad.
game.
They should have.
They totally outplayed the 49ers.
They did.
58 minutes of that game.
Yes, they did.
And if he makes that field goal, they win.
I don't think they come back from that.
I don't
I
either.
think that seals the game.
I agree, but the one thing I will say is when they had a chance to go back down and tie it or win it, the Packers, my son and I were watching it together, and when Jordan Love, who I like, was rolling to his right and threw back across the field, I said, that's going to be intercepted.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as he threw it, you're like, oh, no. That's the cardinal sin for
Yes.
quarterbacks. And will Josh Allen and the Bills ever get past the Chiefs?
Bro, I'm not even mad about them losing the way they did because to have no reason to be arrogant about your team, the Bills Mafia are like the most arrogant group
You'd think.
of fans. They're like as bad as have the Bills ever won a Super Bowl?
No. They
At
lost
least-
4 in a row in the 90s.
At least the Cowboys fans have something to hang their hat on. The Bills have nothing to hang their hat on. And I appreciate the fandom. Every Sunday, they're out there jumping off tables,
Yep.
taking shots
Through
out of
tables.
bowling balls,
Yeah.
and setting stuff on fire. I get it, but come on, bro. Did you see the video of them throwing snowballs at the Chiefs bus before the game?
I did. I saw that.
Come on, have a little class.
They are not classy fans.
They're not.
But, I mean, they are passionate fans, and they come up just short every
time.
single time.
Yeah.
And I heard a lot of people saying before that game, if the Bills don't win it this year, when are they going to win it? Because they're not. They had the Chiefs at home. The Chiefs had been down every year. If they're going to ever beat them, now's the time. You know,
Yes.
the Chiefs were not that great this year. They're good, but not like what they have been.
Yeah.
In that game, they just Mahomes. He finds a way to win. They find a way to win.
When I was watching the game last night, and when they were coming down to kick the field goal that would have tied it, I was like, the Bills are going to win this game.
You thought they were
I
going to kick
thought
it?
the Bills were going to win this game. I thought they were going to kick it and tie it, and they were going to go into overtime and win the game.
Now, I had the exact opposite.
Really?
Because I thought, in fact, that the kicker who missed, whew, God. that was-
Tyler Bass.
Oh, man. That was
Wha-
bad.
what a-
Now-
what a moment.
Now, do you know about wide right in the Super Bowl against the Giants? Do
I
you know
don't know. I don't know.
Oh,
about
there
that,
was
so.
There was a kicker named Scott Norwood, and this was 1991, okay, Super Bowl 25. And the Giants were playing the Bills, and the Bills were favored, and the Bills were like all offense, and the Giants were all defense. And the backup quarterback was in for the Giants, Jeff Hostetler, and Phil Simms have been quarterback most of the year, but Hostetler got him to they weren't supposed to be in the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
but they were like a wild card team. So the Bills were favored. They had a high-powered K-gun, fast-paced offense. And that game, the Giants just completely took the air out of the ball. I think they had the ball for like 40 of the 60 minutes, and it was back and forth. But it was a very defensive game, and the Bills never could get going like they wanted to.
Yeah.
So at the end, the Bills had a drive to try to win it. They were down 20-19. They drove all the way down the field. It was I want to say a 47-yard field goal in Tampa on grass to win the game. The kicker's name is Scott Norwood, and he missed it wide right.
Exactly how Tyler Bass did yesterday.
Exactly how Tyler Bass. That's why Jim Nantz said wide right, the most dreaded 2 words in the history of Buffalo.
Is that
That's why
why
he said that.
Okay, I noticed you said that.
Because
I got
it's
you.
wide right. And Scott Norwood was then called by some Bills fans that I know Scott Driftwood and Scott Deadwood. And it was bad. I mean, he was they ran him out of town. He wasn't back.
And you know what's funny is
that was his last kick.
I'm not sure about Norwood, but Tyler Bass is an amazing kicker.
Is he?
Like Tyler Bass is like automatic. Fantasy, you want Tyler Bass on your team.
But I wonder if he can come back from this one.
I don't know. I don't think he'll have a job with the Bills next year.
44-yard field goal. He's got to make that.
Yeah.
I mean,
at home too.
And did you, Nance, when he was leading up to the call, he said, he's been a little shaky lately, but the coaching staff knows when they need it, he's going to make it. Boom. He kicks it. He's like, oh, he missed it.
I just had a feeling, man.
Well,
I don't know.
Here's my thought, though. I thought, and I actually texted a Bills fan, as Buffalo was driving to try to take the lead, I said, a field goal does them no good here. They have to score a touchdown to take the lead, because I thought, even if he makes that kick, and this is what I'd be saying if I was Tyler Bass, I'd said, if I'd made that, I think Mahomes would have come back down. He had a minute and a half, would have come back down, and they would have kicked the field goal as time expired.
Probably right.
I just felt like
you can't count that dude out.
Mahomes, Josh Allen, he loses every time in the playoffs to Patrick Mahomes. How good is Josh? Although he put a couple of balls right in receivers' hands, bombs.
True.
They dropped last night.
No, Josh Allen's great. I don't have anything to say about Josh Allen's talent. I think that he is the guy who wants to do it all, but he needs to have a little bit more faith in the team around him.
Yeah, he does.
He runs the ball a little too much.
They use that against the Chiefs very well.
Yeah.
But I agree, and sometimes he'll try to fit balls where they shouldn't go.
Yeah.
He was doing that earlier this year.
He's got to have a little bit more faith in his team. He's got Stephon Diggs on his team, and he barely throws the ball to him.
But I'll tell you, in the AFC, Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar Jackson, now C.J. Stroud, Aaron Rodgers coming off injury. Is Josh Allen ever going to get there?
I doubt it. I
don't think he's going to get there.
I don't think so.
You may be right. That is a lot.
I don't know how much longer. I think he's the guy. He's the guy in the franchise, but they got to do something. They got to get him another weapon because the defense is okay.
Well, they gave it up against the Chiefs, though. They could not stop them in the second half.
Yeah.
They couldn't stop them at all. I was cheering hard for the Bills. I can't stand the Chiefs.
I know you're a Broncos fan, but I like the Chiefs.
You know where you always want hot takes from me. Yeah. I don't like the Kelsey brothers, and I know you do.
Really?
I can't stand. I don't know much about Jason Kelsey.
Yeah.
Apparently, by all accounts, he's a great guy.
Sure.
I like players who play and keep their mouth shut.
I got it. I get it.
I told my son, we were sitting there watching the game, and there's Jason Kelsey with his shirt off, pounding beers. And I said, I hate that look. I hate it. And he's like, whoa, that's so cool. I was like, I hate that. Just play and go watch the game.
Shut up and catch.
Shut up and catch. Shut up and block. Shut up and throw. Shut up and dribble. I and I don't even mind when you get out on your platform and say something, but just that, Micah Parsons is a phenomenal football player. Do we have to have a podcast every week about whatever he does? And I realize the irony that we're on a podcast right now.
But I do think the same thing.
Enough already,
and I like that people are branching out and they have a voice because we've never had that before.
I don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't like it. I want you to step. All I want them to be really is just like video game pieces. I know, but they're humans. They're humans.
They are. You know. And I love hearing about inside football, inside baseball, inside basketball.
God,
I love these
how much
stories.
Can we have?
I love these stories.
But
I love hearing about it.
Micah Parsons is after every game. So is Von Miller. They all have a podcast.
But isn't it interesting how, like, if that didn't exist, we would have never known about Kobe Bryant's mentality. We would have never known about Michael Jordan's mentality. If all this stuff would have just, I didn't know how much of an assassin Kobe Bryant was until after he died and people started talking about him.
But don't you think they would have been talking about it when he died? You would have gotten that. There would have been specials.
Yeah, but you get these little stories that only relate to these particular players.
Maybe.
And I think that that's fun to hear.
Well, maybe. But we're talking of the stuff that is said on Micah Parsons or Von Miller's weekly podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. I would bet 90% of it is just like garbage, and 10% of it are those little nuggets you're talking about. It's a mine for it.
For example, there's a podcast with Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes called All the Smoke.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, not that one. Different one, where they ask every basketball player who's the first person to bust your ass.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd be surprised at the amount of people who get shout-outs from that you thought, oh, I didn't even know they were like that.
Really?
Like, for example, one player was like Tony Parker.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Parker's a great player. I would have never known that somebody feared Tony Parker like that in the NBA. He goes, my first game, I played the Spurs. Tony Parker dropped 40 on me. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, this is real now.
So it's good to get those
things
I
think it's cool to hear about that.
I like to just live in a world where they just play basketball, and don't do anything else. And when I see Jason Kelce with his shirt off up there in the booth, I'm just like, would you please put a shirt on and act your age and come on. And like when Travis Kelce goes on dating reality shows, I'm just old. I just look at that stuff and go, what are you doing?
I get it. Like you could never imagine like Mike Ditka on a dating show.
Exactly,
you know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Yeah.
That right there.
Could you imagine like Lawrence Taylor?
No, I can't imagine.
Taking his shirt off, drinking a beer.
Today.
True.
And he would be on a podcast.
Times
today.
have changed.
Of course, that's what they would be doing. There just were no outlets like that back then. So who do you like in the week's games coming up?
I want the Lions to win.
I'd love to see the Lions win.
I want the Lions to win,
but I don't think they will.
I think they have a shot. I just don't think it'll.
Small one.
I think what's going to be the 49ers' downfall is Brock Purdy.
He looks
being
shaky
inexperienced.
against the Packers. He looks shaky against the Packers.
The Lions' defense is solid.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to pressure the hell out of him.
Well, I mean, you say they're solid, and I think they're solid, but they got blitzed by the Packers pretty good in the regular season, and the Bears beat them. I mean, they're up and down.
Yeah.
And on the road, I think they're a year away. I think the 49ers were shaky and rusty out of this game against the Packers in the rain. But I think they'll take care of business against the Lions.
And I think the Chiefs, same with the Ravens, like you said with the Lions, I think the Chiefs will figure out a way to pull it out.
Really?
Yeah.
I think the Ravens will win. I think the Ravens are the best team left. And I think it'll be Ravens 49ers.
Have you heard about this Super Bowl logo conspiracy?
Yeah, that they put it out.
They put the colors
Ravens
out there,
and the 49ers in it already. I don't buy into that.
It's starting to look fishy.
You think
it's starting to look fishy?
I never believe any conspiracy theories.
I'm starting to think that it may be a thing.
You know what happened in 2003? You're a Yankees fan. I'm a Red Sox fan.
Yeah.
That's why we hate each other so much. One of the many reasons. In 2003, how old were you? 4? Anyhow, did you watch that? The game
11.
where
I was 11.
Aaron Boone hit the home run?
I didn't see it, but I remember specifically waking up the next morning and my dad saying, "Don't say anything about the game last night."
Was he a Red Sox fan?
No, my dad's a Yankees fan. But he goes, if anybody comes up to you and says, we were very outspoken Yankee fans, and we were around a lot of Red Sox fans. He goes, if anybody asks you about the game, don't say anything about it. Don't gloat. Don't say anything about the game. Just be humble about it. Be chill about it.
There was in that game, the Red Sox had a big lead, like 5-1 in the 7th or 8th inning. And of course, they made a terrible decision on pitching. And anyway, Aaron Boone hits a home run in the bottom of the 11th to win the game. So Yankees come all the way back. And about the 8th inning, they showed a shot of Fenway Park. The game was in Yankee Stadium. They showed a shot of Fenway Park, and they had the World Series logo on the field. This was in the American League Championship Series. And it's like, I turned to my friend the Diesel, who was with me.
Oh, wow!
And I was like, they just ruined it. They just ruined it.
They
Look
just
at that.
jinxed
And
it.
they were 5 outs away.
I did not know that.
They showed it behind the plate. They had it printed on there already. They had done it during the game.
Why would you do that?
So stupid. And why would you show Fox?
Why would you show that?
Why show Fox? Fox did. They were like, we may be in Fenway for the World. They're ready. And they had the overhead shot of it. And both of us just were like, oh, my God, this is the worst thing ever. But I do believe, I don't think you can base anything off the week before.
Yeah.
So I don't think the Lions, when the Lions win, it's like, oh, my God, the Lions, 49ers are the better team.
You're right.
Win.
But I would just love to see it.
Oh, I would too. I'm cheering for the Lions. I'm cheering for the Lions.
Yeah.
I think the Ravens are the better team. And I think they will beat I think that'll be closer. I think they'll beat the Chiefs and get to the Super Bowl. And I think that'll be a good Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And in fact, if it's Chiefs 49ers, they already played once a few years ago.
They did.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah.
I know last podcast we left with a little bit of homework.
Yes, we did.
And I want to know, okay, so we talked about our 5 favorite living American actors.
That's right.
My list was a little bit more contemporary. Your list was a little bit more
That's right.
dated classic, I guess we could say.
Yes.
So your number 1 was Dustin Hoffman.
Surprisingly to me.
So, yeah, and you tasked me to watch Tootsie.
I did, from only 42 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a good old 42-year-old movie. I saw it when I was a kid. I saw it in the theater.
So I decided to watch Tootsie.
Yes.
And I watched it. And was Gene Hackman on your list, or was he an honorable mention?
He was on my list.
And I watched 2 Gene Hackman movies.
What did you watch?
I watched The French Connection,
Yes.
and I watched The Conversation.
Conversation I love.
Yes.
French Connection I haven't seen, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
When I was 25, everybody said French Connection, French Connection. So I went to the video store to rent French Connection, Blockbuster.
Yeah.
I go, I get it, bring it home, open the box to put it in the VCR. It's French Connection 2 in the box.
What?
Which I didn't know there was a French Connection 2.
Is that a porno or something?
I don't know. I think this is the sequel, but I was like, well, I'm not watching French Connection 2.
I didn't even know there was a sequel.
I didn't either. But it said on the cover of the tape, now on the box it said French Connection, but on the tape itself it said French Connection 2.
Oh, what a bummer.
So I was like, well, I'm not watching this. And I did, because I need to watch the first one. And I haven't gotten around to it since. It's only been 27 years. I have not gotten around to it. But I hear it's great.
So I watched Tootsie, French Connection, Conversation, and I doubled down yesterday morning and I watched Kramer versus Kramer.
Oh, my God. These are phenomenal movies.
I watched all 4 of those this past
And what
weekend.
did you think of Tootsie?
Okay, Tootsie. I wasn't a fan.
Oh.
It was a little, it was paced weird. Everything happened so fast.
Oh, man.
And like Dustin Hoffman was fine. I don't have a problem with the story. I thought Jessica Lange was amazing.
Yes.
I didn't know that was her till like later on.
Right, yeah.
But I liked Kramer versus Kramer a lot better.
Kramer vs. Kramer's phenomenal.
Kramer versus Kramer was great. I think Dustin Hoffman really shined in that.
Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep.
She was barely in it.
I know.
And reprehensible, too.
Awful.
Hated that character.
Me too.
Ugh.
Horrible. Left her
my
son,
God.
left her little baby son,
Yes.
her little 7-year-old son. You know, Dustin Hoffman in that movie, here's a little tidbit for you. There's a scene where she leaves the baby, or the 7-year-old, and divorces Dustin Hoffman and says, you can have him, and leaves. You know, 2 years later, a year later, she comes back and says, I want custody, which, of course, would tick you off.
Absolutely.
And so they're sitting, they're meeting and having a glass of wine when she says she wants the kid back. And he smacks the glass of wine off the wall.
Yes.
Great scene.
I loved that.
He improvised that. He didn't. That wasn't in the script.
Yeah.
And the wine glass shattered and went into Meryl Streep's eye. And she was really mad about that. They didn't get along because he did that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did that, and there was very dicey, chilly on the set because they shot that fairly early.
Yeah,
and it wasn't in the script, and he just smacked the wine glass, and it hit the wall, shattered. They used that take, and it hit her eye, and she was mad. She had to get like a doctor or whoever to come dig it out. Oh, wow! Eye. I know, but it's a great movie. It's worth it. It's worth it.
I think
he apologized later, but
that was my first. I think that's the first Meryl Streep movie I've ever seen.
Phenomenal.
Weirdly enough.
You've never seen another Meryl?
I don't think so.
This week was the first
That was the first time I've seen a Meryl Streep movie.
I think she's overrated.
I kind of think so, too. I mean, she's kind of just crying all the time.
In that one. I like her.
Yeah.
But Dustin Hoffman
was great he was killed. I felt bad for the kid.
Yeah.
I'm like, you've got these 2 titans of the industry battling it out in a scene, and then there's Kid, who did great. I thought he did fantastic.
He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Was he?
The kid was. He didn't win, but he was
honestly,
nominated.
he did really good.
That's impressive, isn't it? Yeah.
And then The Conversation, I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. It was cool. The French Connection was a lot better.
Oh, was it? I haven't seen it. So
Gene Hackman, I got a newfound respect for him.
The French Connection is great.
French Connection is fantastic.
The kid in Kramer versus Kramer, have you ever seen 16 Candles?
Yes, it's been a long time.
When they market 16 Candles, they say, Molly Ringwald, so-and-so, and Academy Award nominee, so-and-so. It's the little boy from Kramer versus Kramer. He's the little brother. He's like a jerk brother. It's like a few years later, 6 years later. Now he's a teenager.
What's his name? Justin Taylor, Justin Turner,
like
or something like that.
Something.
Yeah.
And he was so when you look at 16 Candles, you're like, who the hell was nominated for an Academy Award in this? And it's that kid because of Kramer versus Kramer. Never did much else, I don't believe. But I love Kramer versus Kramer, and I love Tootsie. I Hate You. That is a very, very funny movie. I find that to be very funny.
I think it was. I had trouble. This may be just a cop out. I think I had trouble relating to it because of the time.
I agree.
The comedy just doesn't transfer to me that well.
Well, it's also about how Don't you like the juxtaposition, though, of how Dabney Coleman treats women is exactly how Dustin Hoffman treats women until he's a woman?
True.
That's the
I really
point
didn't think about that till you said that, but that's a very good point.
I think that was the point it was trying to make. Also, that movie, the director of that movie is Sidney Pollack, who is Dustin Hoffman's agent in the movie.
Yes.
He's dead now. But he and Hoffman did not think the movie would be any good. They thought the whole time this is going to be a total bust. We did horribly on this, and nobody will like it. And they edited it together, and it worked. They made it work. And also, they said he looked. Dustin Hoffman, of course, dressed as a woman the whole time, which I love. Don't you? I love the reveal when he reveals. He
was. He just made it all up on his own. That was really good.
Fantastic.
Yes, yeah.
He looked way too much like a man. He said until he found glasses, and so he put on the glasses, but the glasses had a terrible glare, so you could see the cameras and the other actors, so they couldn't use them. And they found a spray that you could spray on the glasses to make the glare go away. And that's the only reason they were really able to make the movie.
Interesting.
Because without the glasses, he looked way too much like a man. Once he put the glasses on, he was okay as a woman, but they had to have that spray.
And the music was terrible.
I love the music.
The music in that movie was terrible. It was terribly placed. It was never on at the right time.
What?
And it made it unserious to me.
I love
the music.
That music.
The original song sucked, and the score throughout made the movie. It made the movie laughable. Honest to God.
Oh my God, that movie! I love the music. I love how they use the music.
No, it was the worst use of music I've seen in a long time.
Oh my God!
I think it really dumbed it down for me. It made it not serious. It made it stupid.
Bill Murray was great.
He was fine.
He ad-libbed most of his lines.
Yeah,
that's an ad-lib part for him. But I thought he was excellent in the role as the roommate. Oh my God! Yeah. And what's her name is great.
Terry Garr.
Terry Garr is fantastic, and she doesn't get the role. Should see Tootsie now.
Yeah. So my list. I feel like you're beating around. Did you watch the movie?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
yes, I did.
So my number one was Joaquin Phoenix.
Yes,
and I recommended that you watch You Were Never Really Here,
That's right.
which I watched again this weekend as well.
Yes.
And what did you think about You Were Never Really Here?
I didn't find it funny at all.
It wasn't supposed to be funny.
I didn't get a single laugh out of it. Not my type of movie. No,
really?
I didn't like. I tell you why I didn't like it.
What was the problem with it?
I need to be spoon-fed. I need people. I need to know what's going on in a movie. I thought there was too much like what's happening. I couldn't figure it out. And I hated when people. So when I was your age, I hated when people said this. Too bleak for me. I just don't. That it's about what human trafficking and I hate.
Yes.
I hate when I watched. Now his performance was fantastic.
Yes.
I mean he was great in it.
Yeah.
I didn't think it had enough dialogue.
Okay.
I didn't think it had. I thought it was too confusing. At times, I had to go back and read what it was about. I had to go on Wikipedia and see what it was about.
Okay.
Because of a lot of like visions and like when he was in the water, I was like, what's he doing? What's going on?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just didn't think it was explained very well. But now his performance was excellent. I mean, I have to say that. And used to, I would recommend movies to people, and they'd come back and go, like Leaving Las Vegas, and they'd come back and go, "Oh, it's so depressing." I was like, "Well, grow up." Well, now I'm the one saying it's so depressing.
It is a depressing movie.
Oh, it's depressing as it can be.
Yeah,
it really is. Stuff like I have a daughter. I
get it.
That kind of stuff. I just can't stand.
And when I was watching it through again and imagining you watching it, I was like, "You're gonna think this is just so weird and just."
It's very weird. I don't like weird, and I don't like. Slow, depressing.
Yeah.
I mean, some of it I can get into. I don't like weird, and I didn't like that.
So Joaquin Phoenix, a little fun fact, won Best Actor at Cannes Film Festival for that movie.
Well, he was great.
Yeah.
He was great in it.
And the woman who directed it, Lynn Ramsey, she also directed a movie called We Need to Talk About Kevin. You ever heard of that?
I've heard of it.
Another great movie.
Is it good?
Depressing.
But
I can't, but very good.
These depressing movies, I can't do them anymore.
I love a depressing movie, man.
I used to go in for depressing movies.
Yeah.
I saw Room with loved it. Loved it.
Great movie.
Loved
Super
it.
depressing.
Oh my God. As depressing as it, but I loved it.
Yeah.
But then at some point I would start going, I guess as I aged, I was just like, these movies don't do it for me anymore.
Yeah.
These really depressing movies. It's like, why am I putting myself through this?
Yeah.
Ringer. But I mean, I like Schindler's List a lot.
I don't know. I feel like I'm so I'm so desensitized to everything that I need to watch stuff like that to feel something. You know what I'm saying?
Well, why don't you go the other direction and watch something that makes you laugh?
Nothing makes me laugh.
Nothing makes me laugh.
Yeah.
I try to make people laugh.
I appreciate that. You make me laugh.
No,
yeah.
Well, only because of my ridiculous statements. It just wasn't my kind of movie.
I got you.
It's a good movie. It's very well done.
Yeah.
I would never watch it again.
Really?
You said it was like one of your top 5
It is.
ever.
I could watch it whenever.
I could never watch it again, and I'll never think about it again. It did not make an impact.
Well,
on
I
me.
appreciate you watching it. I really didn't think you would.
If I was going to watch a movie about human trafficking, I'd watch Taken. I love Taken.
Oh, yeah.
I love that
This
movie.
was a mix between Taken, Leon the Professional.
I don't know that movie either.
Oh, you never seen that?
No. Hitman?
Yeah, you got to watch that.
Well, do you think I'd like it or is it depressing?
It's better than, well, it's not better than, it's more successful than You Were Never Really Here.
Oh, right. Well, nobody's ever heard of it.
Yeah.
I never heard of that movie. It was made by Amazon, but it was good. I mean, I have to say, it was well made. It's not my kind of movie. Now, you wanted to do this week for the top 5 most overrated bands or artists of all time.
Bands or artists that we think are extremely
the most overrated.
overrated.
There's one, as soon as you said it, I said, well, there's no question who I'm putting number 1. Now, it's solo artist. But I think this solo artist is the most of all time.
Are they at your number 1?
Yes, it's my most overrated artist. Well, you start with number 5.
Okay, my number 5. It took me a minute to think, but the Beastie Boys. I think the Beastie Boys are extremely overrated. And as somebody who loves hip hop, I just never really understood them.
Yeah.
I think they're kind of annoying. I think they get a little bit too much praise.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what they did, pioneering, but they just never really translated much for me.
I would never put anybody rap on this list or hip hop because I know so little
but
about
they've
it.
kind of, been able to cross over.
I know, yeah.
And a lot of their stuff is like rock influenced and stuff, but they're just one of those groups. And the majority of them for the rest of me are rock groups, but this is the one that kind of crossed
the
over.
Beastie Boys, I don't even know. Sometimes they'll play like in a public setting, people are like, I love the Beastie Boys. And I'm like, I don't even know that was them. I could care less about that kind of stuff. But I have heard of them, so I know they're
going to be my number 5 overrated. Beastie
my
Boys.
number 5 overrated is Kiss. I've never thought they were that good. I don't like any of their songs. I think the whole act. I give them credit for coming up with something original. I think they think a lot of themselves, and I think there's a lot of merchandise, for instance, out there that people buy. And I don't. They have their own army, and I don't understand that.
And I know you think that they're overrated, but is there a Kiss song that you can tolerate?
No. I can tolerate many of them, but none of them would I say, oh, it's a great song.
There's nothing about them that makes you go like,
wow, love that song.
They were really in their bag with that
When Kiss
one.
comes on the radio, I'll change it.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't listen to Kiss. I don't like. I just don't like them.
Okay.
How about number 4?
Number 4 for me, I think I'm going to catch some flack for this one. Fleetwood Mac. Fleetwood Mac. I think Chrissy. Chrissy.
One of the greats.
I think Stevie Nicks is insufferable. I cannot stand her. She gets on my nerves.
Mac?
The fact that people look up to her really bugs me.
Really?
Yes.
Because of all her cocaine use.
Because of that, she's a hoe.
She slept with most of the band members.
She worships the devil. All this.
Do you
stuff.
think she really does worship the devil? Is that clocked?
Not.
I don't believe
no,
that's
probably
clocked.
not.
There's a song
but
about
there's
it. There's
imagery that would lead you to believe, but I like to, in my head, for this reason, think that she does worship the devil.
I respect the choice. I like them. I like a lot of their songs.
Yeah, Fleetwood Mac just never really did it for me. I think that Rumors album is just overrated for me.
It's known as one of the great albums of all
time.
time.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's really not that good to me.
Wow. That is a real statement. You make statements. I don't.
Fleetwood Mac.
That's a statement.
You can take them away.
I thought about putting on here. I didn't. Was too soon, but I thought about putting Jimmy Buffett because I like a lot of his songs, but the fact that people just worship at his altar is like, my God,
tell me about it. He makes no sense to me.
I mean, he's good. He's fine.
Yeah, he's fine. Maybe it's just that party atmosphere.
They love that.
Maybe that's what it is. The fact that it's carefree.
I think what made him great was, or so legendary, was the party atmosphere, and he was what he was. He's like, here's what I'm going to do, and he was very authentic to himself.
I'm going to write a song about a cheezeburger.
Yeah, there's some song. His hits I like. Yeah. I like Fins and Come Monday and Cheeseburger in Paradise and of course Margaritaville. I like them. But many people can sit here and write down 200 songs that they love and follow him around the country. And I thought, my God, but that's not my number. I didn't put him on here.
Who do you got at number 4?
Pink Floyd. I don't like anything about them. I don't like anything about them. I don't like any of their songs.
I had a feeling that was coming from you, and it makes no sense to me.
I don't like anything about them. I've never heard a song about them. I like Money a little bit. Other than that, they can have them.
What about it? Did you just never
I don't know, never grabbed me at all. Never once. Once I was around marijuana in college, and they played a soundtrack, and I was like, all right, a little.
This is cool.
But, it just...
Like Dark Side of the Moon never did it for you?
None of that.
Something about an album that doesn't stop, I love. I love that idea.
Thing about it. Didn't do anything for me. Not into Pink Floyd at all.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. What's yours? Yep.
The Doors.
I don't like them either.
The Doors. I think Jim Morrison is like Stevie Nicks, insufferable.
Agreed.
I don't think he can sing well at all.
Agreed.
I think he had a God complex.
Agreed.
And nothing about their music I think is exciting or fun or sounds good. They are boring.
I'm with you. I like a couple of their songs. That's it. I like a couple.
You know what's funny? Now that I say that, there's a band I didn't put on here that I want to put on here.
Well, I should have put the Doors. I did. I should put them on there.
But they may be on your list. I'll save them for the end.
My third was Grateful Dead.
That's the one. That's the one.
I don't like
That's
anything about
the one
them.
I was going to put.
And that's another one. It's like so many people love them so much. When Jerry Garcia died, I was hated that he died, but it didn't do anything to me, and people were mourning him, and I just was like, what's the big deal?
They are so boring.
They are. I agree with you.
And I don't doubt that they were great musicians, but there is nothing about that band. And I think the imagery of the Grateful Dead outlives the talent of the Grateful Dead.
I agree, and I think they're another one, like Jimmy Buffett, that they were very true to themselves. They just did what they wanted to do, their own thing, very authentic, and people got into that, and they love. Plus, they love getting high and going to those shows.
Plus you have to be on something to appreciate the music at all.
Apparently.
You can't be sober and like the Grateful Dead.
Apparently. I don't. I don't know. But people, it's like a pilgrimage to go see the Grateful Dead, and
people who just
don't get it.
That whole traveling to see people like over and
50
over.
times.
First of all, how do you have the money?
I know.
Second of all, what do you do for a living?
I agree.
Third of all, really, is that really...
to me, it's such a waste of time and money. It's like if you've seen them, I'll get it if you see them every time they come to town, or you see them, 10 times in your life, but people would see the Grateful Dead 75 times and travel all over the country to do it. It's like, what are you doing?
Never makes sense to me.
Me neither, but there are things that I do that I'm sure doesn't make sense. I play a lot of pickleball, and I'm sure people are like, what are you doing? Or I play a lot of fantasy football, and people are like, you're wasting your time. But that's a lot of travel and a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. The ticket to the show in itself is
and
how much?
I'm very judgmental, so but I'm trying. I shouldn't be. But people do that, and I think, God, you could be doing so much more with your life than traveling to see. People do Dave Matthews the same way. I didn't get it.
Yeah,
I never.
Same with
I like
Rush,
him all right. I have tons.
Grateful Dead. They were the one that I did not add. I should have.
Yeah.
Number 2, Bruce Springsteen, and I'm not even going to worry about the E Street Band. Just Bruce Springsteen in general. Bruce Springsteen, I've never understood.
Man, my wife doesn't either. She doesn't get it.
Nothing about him really. Like, I get that he's like the working class guy.
Exactly.
And he sings about being patriotic and stuff.
We love it. No, he really doesn't. Well, a little. But,
sort of, yeah.
Born in the USA is not a patriotic song. That's about.
It sounds like it.
But it's not.
Yeah.
People use it as a patriotic song.
Yeah.
It's about like the Vietnam War and the repercussions on the soldier in the Vietnam War, and you don't care about him once he got back. That's what. But I love everybody plays it for 4th of July.
Absolutely. And he's one of those dudes that I feel like has been misconstrued as like deep and thoughtful, and maybe he is. It just doesn't do anything for me. And the fact that he is like listed upon the names of people that are influential, like Obama, like he did a podcast with Obama.
I know.
Why is Bruce Springsteen doing a podcast with Obama?
That's what I'm talking about.
You couldn't figure out
that's
anybody
what I'm talking
else.
about from earlier. It's Obama and Springsteen. I'm just like, what?
What about Springsteen makes you think Obama at the same time?
Well, they're both real liberal, and they're both. I mean, they just.
That's fine.
But he transcends a lot. I mean, there's so many fans, and I must say I do love a lot of his music. See, but I'm so the hits on the radio. Born in the USA, Born to Run. Glory Days. I love. You get into the deeper stuff, I don't know it at all. People do love him though. I mean, he is beloved.
But then he like sings a song about a turnpike, and then everybody loses their mind.
The Jersey Turnpike, 10th Avenue frees out.
The Chilean miners or something like that.
It doesn't matter what he sings. You're right. And at this point now, he gets credit for being deep when he probably isn't.
Exactly.
But I think he's great. I love his songs. My wife thinks he sings. She doesn't think he's a very good singer.
Yes, like he's not a great singer at all.
Nirvana. I think
Okay.
Nirvana's overrated.
Okay.
I don't like grunge.
Okay. All right.
That song, when Smells Like Teen Spirit came out, I thought it was the worst noise I'd ever heard.
Okay.
Ever.
Okay.
And the fact of course they're legends now, but
Sure.
and I honestly I can't say they're I'd probably lump Foo Fighters in the same way. I don't like Foo Fighters that much, and I would probably I definitely here's enough. I almost put Metallica on here because I don't want
Okay.
Metallica. Awful.
Okay.
And people, these are 3 legendary bands.
I'm going to have to disagree with Foo Fighters.
I don't know anything about them, so I can't say they're overrated.
Yeah.
I didn't like Nirvana. Can't
Were they
say
popular? Yes. Would they have remained popular? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they could have transcended the death of grunge.
You're probably right. They are legendary because they were such a shooting star in that short amount of time because he killed himself. But he was such a tortured, troubled person. I don't know that. I mean, that might have helped the brand of the band. And then, of course, Dave Grohl has to go off and start Foo Fighters after that. I'll take back Foo Fighters. I don't like Metallica and I don't like Nirvana.
I think that's the best thing that happened to Dave Grohl was Kurt Cobain killing himself.
Can you edit that out?
That's what I think. I really do.
They were
like
good friends. I don't
sure,
know that
and I hate it for Dave Grohl.
Yeah.
And I don't wish that upon anybody. I really don't.
Yeah.
I just don't think they would be as popular if
you don't think Foo Fighters would be as popular.
I don't think Nirvana would have been as popular.
All right.
As they are now.
And who's your? Well, you've said a mouthful here
Sorry.
today.
Yeah.
Who is your most overrated band or artist of all time?
U2.
Oh, wow.
U2.
Well, I'm not a huge fan. I do like some of their music, though, and I do like their hits. And I toyed with them putting them on it because they are so regarded.
Yes. Like Bruce Springsteen, I feel the same way about Bono. I feel like he gets a lot of credit for being deep when he really isn't.
Yeah.
I feel like The Edge may be one of the most overrated guitar players of all time.
I can't ever judge that. I
don't find him fascinating at all musically.
Really?
I mean, some of his sounds are cool, but I think it's just way too overdone. I think their albums are overproduced. I think Bono he's an okay singer. I feel like he also has a God complex.
He does.
Like Jim Morrison.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think he gets a little bit too much credit for being this almighty lead singer of a band.
Well, see, you know a lot more about music than I just listened to the hit songs.
Sure.
And when With or Without You came out, I was in high school, and people loved it, and I thought it was awful.
Now, I will say, there are U2 songs that I like.
Yeah.
With or Without You being one of them.
Well, I've grown to like it. I hated it at first, and I've grown to like it.
Still haven't found what I'm looking for. I think it's fine.
My favorite is Where the Streets Have No Name.
Not a big fan of that one.
You don't like Where the Streets
Not
Have
a big fan of that one. Yeah.
When I was in, I believe it was high school or college, they came out with Rattlin' Hum.
Yeah.
And my roommate, it was college, because my roommate and best friend was so into that, and he went to it, and he's the one that went to Atlanta or Washington. Yeah. And I thought, what are you doing? I mean, why are you doing this? And I don't know. I'm just not that passionate about much of anything. You know?
I got you.
I just am not. We had a guy here who just went to see the Lions play football because he's a big Lions fan.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm riding high. And I thought I wouldn't make that threat.
There's nothing in your life that would make you get that excited.
Well, my son and I went to see a Red Sox Yankees game a few years ago in the playoffs, and I'm glad I did that. I don't think I would do that again. Like, just go see a team play. Now I'd rather watch it on TV. I mean, I'd rather just sit in my living room and watch it on TV. He said the atmosphere in Detroit was electric, and I'm sure it is. He's younger than me, and that's good, but I would never pay the money. I'd just sit there and watch the whole game right there.
Have you accomplished everything you want to accomplish?
Yep.
You're done. You're just done with it. Yeah.
Done. I've seen all I want to see. I've been to Europe. I've seen all I want to see. Now I just want to continue to enjoy my family.
Live out my days.
And relax and live out my days. Yes. I comfort and live out the days. Yes. Now, my most overrated artist, without question, I don't understand. Singular artist, Beyoncé. I think Beyoncé, I've heard many songs from her. I only like one or two. And she is treated like she is God's gift to music forever. And I don't believe that in the slightest. I don't think she's as good as many solo female. I don't think she's as good as Taylor Swift. I don't think she's as good as Mariah Carey. I don't think she's as good as Janet Jackson. The list goes on and on and on. And yet, for whatever reason, it might be her, the fact that she's with Jay-Z, I don't know. But I've never found it. And people treat her like she walks on water. Yeah. I don't understand it. Yeah. I do not get it.
I 100% agree.
Do you?
100% agree. I've never understood the thing about Beyonce. There was a point in time where she was okay.
She's fine.
Like 03, 04.
Yeah.
But then when she got with Jay-Z,
yeah,
people started holding her to this high regard and put her on this pedestal. And I think she started buying into it.
Maybe.
And I think that's what was really her downfall. People were like, oh, you're a queen. You're a god. And I think that became her identity. And I think she really bought into that.
And look what Kanye West did at that award show when Taylor Swift beat her for the award.
Yeah.
It's like he was offended that she didn't win. It's like, who cares about the award anyway? Yeah. Not many do.
Yeah.
And he gets up there and interrupts Taylor Swift and does that thing. And it's just like, Why? Who is this artist that is just so above everyone?
I would really appreciate it if you stopped talking about Kanye West like that. That really offended me.
But I know you're a fan of his.
That's my boy.
I know you're a fan of his.
And I appreciate that you didn't put him on your list. I had a feeling you would.
I don't know enough about him.
I got you.
I got
you.
Yeah. He's another one I don't know.
Now, if you want to talk about greatest musicians of all time.
If I heard a Kanye West song now, I wouldn't even know it.
Really?
I don't know what he did, what he has done. So I couldn't put him. But Beyonce, I mean, all I hear about is, listen, when she shows up anywhere, it's like,
yeah, oh my God, Beyonce.
Care?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean, I just think that is completely overrated. I don't think she's as good as any of those artists that I mentioned.
No, I agree 100%.
Well, there you are. I'm glad we end on an agreement.
Yeah.
Your Bruce Springsteen and your Fleetwood Mac.
Sorry, yeah.
And really your
Actually,
YouTube.
I'm not sorry.
Yeah. Well, you say what you want.
Yeah.
You do what you want. I wish you'd like Tootsie better. Well, that was a good one. I like that episode. That's a long episode.
One a little longer,
and I like that episode.
Yeah.
And the football I like talking about football. That's good. That's really nice.
So for those listening, if you're watching us on YouTube, give us something you'd like to see us do a top 5 on.
Yeah.
We may take it into consideration, and we'll do another one next week. All right.
That was impressive. We got out there today.
We did. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
And that whole thing about Kurt Cobain, you may not be back next week.
Maybe not.
We'll see.
I might have got canceled. Who knows?
You might have gotten canceled. We'll have the square.
Yeah.
Hopefully next week. Square in the round. Have a great week. Thanks for listening.